Good day. My name is Brett Leduc and I'm the author of the book Pensions for Palookas. You can buy my book at www.pensionsforpalookas.online or you can buy it from Amazon, Smashwords, or Take a Lot. Today I'm going to look at chapter 2 of my book. What are the different types of retirement funds that are available in South Africa? I'll start off by making a distinction between your voluntary funds, where you've got a choice in the matter, where you can decide whether or not I want to belong to this fund, and you enter willingly into an agreement with a product provider, and then compulsory type of funds that are normally there as a condition of your employment at a specific employer. So looking at your voluntary funds, there are two types of voluntary funds. Number one, you've got the retirement annuity fund, and the retirement annuity fund is a very good retirement planning tool or vehicle for self-employed people and people who are professionals that do not have an employer that will force them to belong to a compulsory fund. So it's an one-on-one direct agreement between normally an individual and a product provider, in terms of which the individual will make contributions to the fund, and then once that person turns 55, that person can then get a retirement benefit out of the fund. So a retirement annuity can only pay retirement benefits and no other benefits. Then you also have a preservation fund, and the purpose of a preservation fund is to preserve your pension fund money or your provident fund money when you are in a transition phase between employers. For example, if you stop working at employer A and you don't immediately get a job at employer B and you want to preserve that money that you saved for retirement, you can move it to either a pension or provident preservation fund until you are now at your new employer and you can transfer the money in your preservation fund to the new employer's fund. Then on the other side, we have compulsory funds. Those are funds where you start working at an employer, and in terms of your contract of employment, you have to belong to that pension or provident fund in which the employer participates. So here we've got two types of funds. On the one side, we've got your defined benefit funds, and then we also have the defined contribution funds, and I will explain those to you later. Each of these type of funds, you have a provident fund or a pension fund option. So looking at what is the defined benefit fund, in terms of the rules of a defined benefit fund, the fund will pay you a defined benefit or annuity monthly income as from your date of retirement. And there's normally a formula in terms of the rules of the fund in terms of which this benefit is calculated. You are guaranteed that benefit when you retire. If there's not enough money in the fund to pay that benefit to you, your employer will have an obligation to pay in the amount of money that is needed to supply that benefit to you. So the employer is taking the investment risk of that fund and not you as an individual member. So let's say, for example, you currently earn 100,000 rands per year. So let's say your defined benefit in terms of the rules of the fund is going to be equal to your annual salary times a factor times the number of years that you are a member of that fund. So let's say, for example, you were a member of that fund for 40 years, and let's say the factor here is 2%. That will mean that your annual annuity will be equal to 100,000 rand times 2% times 40 years, which will then give you 80,000 rands per year divided by 12 to give you your monthly income. So that amount is guaranteed. It could never be less than that. If there's not enough money in the fund to pay that 80,000 rand to you, your employer has an obligation to pay money into that fund that will allow the fund to pay that 80,000 Rand to you. In the case of a defined contribution fund, your benefit, your retirement benefit, will be equal to all the contributions that you made to the fund plus any growth in the fund, investment growth. And you must remember that this can be either positive or negative growth, and then minus your costs. So this will be your administration cost, your asset management cost, cost paid to certain benefit consultants. So all those costs will be deducted, and let's say over the period of time, this is the accumulated amount is 3 million Rand. This means that the fund must pay 3 million Rand to you. Your benefit will never be less than that. So here, in the case of a defined benefit fund, you get a guaranteed amount. Here the amount can be 3 million or it can be 1 million. So it will all depend on what your contribution rate is, what type of investment growth you got in the fund, and what the cost structure was. So what are the differences between a pension fund and a provident fund? In terms of current legislation, a pension fund can only pay up to 1/3 of your accumulated retirement benefits in cash at date of retirement. So if we use our example again, if you accumulated 3 million Rand in your defined contribution fund, you can only take 1 million as a cash lump sum. At your date of retirement. The other 2 million you must use to buy an annuity. So that is a big restriction. Now looking at provident funds, historically, you could take all your money in that fund, you could take as a lump sum payment. So if you had 3 million, you could take 3 million as a cash lump sum. So there was no obligation on you to buy an annuity. Okay. So I said this was the historic situation because on the 1st of March 2021, the situation changed to bring the payments that you can receive from a provident fund more in line with the type of structure you have under a pension fund. So what happened there was that as from that date, if you were under the age of 55, going forward, between the age of 55 and your normal retirement date, all the contributions plus growth on all those contributions paid after that date and the growth after that date, you can only take 1/3 in cash. And the other 2/3 you must use to buy an annuity. But the 3 million, if that was the amount that built up to the 1st of March 2021, you could still take that amount in cash, the full amount. So let's say, for example, at your normal date of retirement, you have 5 million Rand. So you can still take the 3 million plus, let's say, 1/3 of the other 2 million as a cash lump sum. In the case of people who are over the age of fund members that were over the age of 55 on the 1st of March 2021, they could take the whole 3 million that accumulated up to that date, plus all the contributions, plus all growth that accumulated after that the age of 55 up to the date of normal retirement, on condition that they retired from the same fund that they were in on the 1st of March 2021. So let's say they also had an accumulated amount of 5 million Rand. That means they can still take the whole 5 million Rand in cash. So that is my summary of the different types of funds. It's important to speak to your financial advisor and to your fund trustees or the principal officer to find out exactly what type of fund you are a member of and what are the benefits and what are the restrictions in terms of the rules of the fund. Please remember to subscribe. Thank you.